So, welcome to a conversation I will be having with Carol Teixeira, which I met here in Piracanga in Brazil. It's been really a pleasure to meet you and for sure get to know a little bit about her work, because from the little I know so far, I understand that you are having so much beautiful work you are doing for women especially. And I invited you to be with me for a conversation because I think maybe many people would love to hear from your story and the work you are doing. So thank you so much for wanting to do this conversation with me and to share from your journey and experience with other people.
Oh, so happy to be here. Yeah.
So I think it would be great if we start with hearing a bit from you and your story. Like you come from Brazil, and maybe some highlights from your life and up till today and the work you are doing, and then we can dive into everything.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm a philosopher and I'm a Tantra healer. And the way I use the Tantra philosophy is connecting the Tantra with the Western philosophy, because I graduated in philosophy, so I am a Western philosopher. And it's so interesting because if you think about the Western philosophy, it's so different from the Eastern philosophy, you know?
Yes.
It's so different. It seems like opposite, you know, like the Western philosophy, it's so rational. And when you go to Tantra, you just feel Tantra, it is a way of using your body and using your senses to transcend, to connect with the divine and to know yourself, but through the feeling, you know, through your body. And the Western philosophy, if you take, like, for example, Plato and all the philosophers, they make you think about, you know, it's everything about the
rational
mind, you know. So it was very interesting the way, how did I get to Tantra? Because I was very rational, and I'm a writer also. I have 3 books published.
Wow.
And since I was a child, I loved the words. I was very obsessed with words. And I thought, like, words could explain everything. Words could explain, could make me understand how the world function, you know, and how people think, and why do people act like that. So I was very connected with this way of knowing the world. And then when I graduated in philosophy, my final work had the title Sexuality as an Affirmation of Life.
Wow.
So it's so tantric, right? But I wasn't tantric at all, but I had that seed in me, I think, you know? So it's sexuality as an affirmation of life. And I always had this connection with sexuality, feeling that it was like so much more than people say it is. You know, it's all like surrounded by taboos, and it's surrounded by no, you can't do that, and take care, you know, and no, like for especially for us women, you know, like, oh, close your legs, no, you can't touch, you know. It's our center of power, and everybody's like, no, hide your center of power, you know. And I was like, no, there's something more to that. And then I had a radio show in Brazil about sexuality. And
what's the name of the radio show?
It was so funny. It was me and another woman, and we only interviewed famous men, and we didn't talk like about their music or their acting or something like that. We talked only about sexuality.
Okay,
you know?
cool.
So and the name was Eu, a Carol e ele. It was like me, Carol, and him. Because it was like, you know, like the woman that was presenting with me, and a man. So it was so interesting because they really opened themselves, and people loved this show. It was very nice. And then after the show, I started writing to a magazine. I was a columnist of a very nice magazine in Brazil for 8 years. So I was like for 8 years, every month, writing about sexuality, and always with the female gaze, like to be different. You know, it was like it was a men's magazine, and then you looked at my column, and it was like with the female gaze. So since the beginning, I was like, no, I want to bring the female gaze, and that's what I do.
And what's the name of that magazine, in case people would like to look up some of the previous work you have done?
It's VIP.
VIP.
But it doesn't exist anymore. It was like until 2000, don't know, 2013 maybe.
Yeah.
Until 2013, it doesn't exist anymore. But it was a very nice time where I used this channel to research about sexuality. You know, so I was like, I didn't have to do that, but I was like, I want to research about, I don't know, the nudist resort in Jamaica. So I went to Jamaica and researched about the nudist resort. You know, I went to Cancun and go to those nudist resorts. I researched about the dominatrix scene in LA. And I went to Mexico to look for the BDSM scene in Mexico. So I went through many places to look for the power that the body had. You know, it's so interesting because it's everything, my work with sexuality and tantra and everything started with the search for what's more in the sexuality. What else?
Than just the technical, physical, touching thing that we normally learn about.
Yeah, you know, like BDSM, for example. I'm not into BDSM, but just to take an example, extreme example, why do people feel that? Why they want to be in one place or another, and how they transcend being that role and not in another. Why? You know, there's something more to sexuality than and tantra. Like, how can you have a tantric experience and then you connect to God in a way that maybe you don't connect if you are just praying, just repeating some prayer. But if you use your body as a prayer, why do you connect to the divine? So what else is there to the body that they hide from us? It's been hidden.
Yeah.
You know, the power of the body, it has been hidden for us.
We have to dive into that. But before we go there, you have to explain the word tantra, because for many people, that's actually not a really known word, or they might have heard about it. They might connect it to something sexual, but they might not really know what it is. So that's one thing. And also when you say God, you talk about the divine and you talk about God. Do you talk about religion, and like people have religious beliefs and they have different gods they pray to? Or do you mean God like as a divine power, regardless of religion?
So, interesting question. So, first, Tantra is a way of using your body to connect with this divine energy. It can be, you can call it whatever you want, but it's this kind of energy, that sacred energy that you feel when you, like for example, you see a sunrise, you know, or you see this beautiful jungle here, or you go to the sea, or you look into your daughter's eyes, or when you see your daughter or your son being born, you know, when you give birth, you know, or there are many ways of feeling the sacred energy. So people usually connect that divine energy with something very religious. You have to be in a church, you have to pray, and the sacred, it's everywhere, you know. It's here, you know, the plants, it's on the sea, it's everywhere. So when I say divine energy, or when I say God, I think it's this energy you can name. You know, you can name this energy. So maybe for someone who is listening to this, he's saying, oh, I connect to Shiva. or I connect to Goddess Kali. I have a tattoo of Goddess Kali here. I connect
Wow.
so much with Goddess Kali, the Hindu goddess of death and rebirth. But maybe they connect with the Christian God, you know, and it doesn't matter really. It's how you connect with something that inhabits you, but also transcends you. How do you do that? So I think Tantra is a way of connecting
Yeah.
with this energy through your body and through your senses.
But coming from a Western country, and also where we have more of the rational mind being appreciated, I will say, still. This is a bit outside the vocabulary for most people. But
for sure.
but when you talk, and you talk about the feeling you get when you see the beautiful ocean, or you see your kids, or you have some kind of good energy, might it be what people often call happiness or gratitude, or those kind of feelings that you can have? Is it that kind of energy, or is it something even more powerful?
I think it's that powerful feeling that makes you have the chills, you know, when you feel like you feel you are connecting with something that is greater than you. And maybe you can feel like when you look into someone that you love, you know, when you look in the eyes
Yeah.
to someone that you love, you feel infinite. This kind of infinite feeling. I call it God. I call it the divine energy, you know. So I think to be happy or to feel the joy, that's one thing. But to feel this immense and infinite energy, that's something very big, you know, that's something very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the divine energy.
Yeah, I think many can have that experience in nature. So we are a country, a nation of people who love to be outdoors. Not everyone, of course, but many go to their family cabins on the mountains or by the ocean or whatever they have their holiday home to be in nature. So, and maybe people doesn't really pay attention to how much it can mean if they focus more on those kind of being in contact and being like one with nature. But just like we are human beings made for being in contact with nature, I think that's a really like disregard of divine power and all these amazing words. Just by being in contact with nature and being in contact for real with other people and having a real conversation and connect. I think the connect word is maybe part of, I'm getting the goosebumps when I say it.
Yeah, divine energy. Look, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even introduce it properly because I don't know all that much. I know you came here to Piracanga. We stay here in the same house while you are here. You have been doing a workshop with women here. And I understand that the work you are doing is really taking people to a different level in experiencing this powerful energy that we are actually capable of experiencing. So say a little bit about your work today.
Yeah, okay. So I talked about the sexual research part of my journey, but I didn't talk properly how did Tantra came into the story? So
because were you always like this? Were you grown into a family where you were like introduced to these kind of things?
No,
or
that's so crazy.
Do you come from a rational family and society?
Rational family, traditional, super traditional family. That I'm like the different one, you know. Like my family, like it's very traditional, but I had a very powerful mom. She was like the most interesting women that I have ever met. And my father died when I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
So she raised me and my 3 sisters alone. Made a huge effort to raise us alone. And to raise one daughter alone, it's hard, imagine, 4. And they were teenagers, and I was a child. So I was the one who had the more liberal upbringing, you know, like people say that I was spoiled. I don't agree. But my family say she was very spoiled by her mom. And so my mom was very like, I could do whatever I want. So that's why I become very, I think, revolutionary in my work. Like,
Yeah.
I think I always thought like, I can't do that. Why not? I can't do that. Oh, that's kind of forbidden, but I think I can. So I think I thank my mom for giving me the strength to do whatever I want. You know?
Yeah, she gave you the space to explore and to be you and figure your path, basically.
Yeah, basically.
But the education you took in philosophy, you did like a master or a bachelor's degree within philosophy in university. So you went through the regular school system in Brazil and did your university degree, and then you started to work even also within some kind of job.
I was a writer, you know, like I was a writer. I was writing my books and I was writing to the magazine. So I used philosophy as a way of seeing the world, you know. My gaze was like a philosophical one, so I used on my writings. And I was also talking about and giving courses about, always talking about the power of the body and women empowerment. So to write to the magazine, one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna look for Tantra. But I thought it was going to be like, okay, I'm going to the nudist place in Jamaica, or just a new thing, you know. I wasn't expecting like a huge thing. And then when I had a tantric experience, it changed my life forever. I was like, I thought I understand about the body. I thought I understand about the sexuality. I thought I understand about the empowerment of the body. And then Tantra came to change everything. And I was like, okay, forget everything you thought you knew and start again, because it was so powerful, so powerful. And I had been through other spiritual things, but Tantra was really the most powerful thing I have ever experienced. And it was in 2010, and then I wrote the column to the magazine, but it became like my life, you know. I was studying Tantra, living Tantra. I was like, okay, that's a path, my spiritual path. I found my spiritual path. And it was impossible not to bring that to my work also. It was impossible. I couldn't still only write about and rationalize if I have this powerful tool. No, you don't have only to talk about and think about. You can bring it to your body.
Yeah, because it's like if I ask you what was that, so what was that experience? Because I guess more than me would be interested in, like, what was that tantric experience?
Yes.
And I know it's difficult to explain such experiences with words, because it's a feeling and it's a bodily, emotionally experience, I guess. But just to help us understand a little bit what is.
It was like a whole day of experiencing Tantra and exchanging with someone. And it included some, I don't like to say tantric massage, because I think it's so distorted in society nowadays. It can appear something that is not, you know, so it's hard to put in words.
Yeah.
Because it's very tricky. It can be, you know, people can see in a way that it's not at all. But the tantric touch, the tantric massage, tantric meditations, like active meditations, also subtle meditations, and especially what touched me more was like the sacred feeling about that. I remember getting, after this experience, I called my mom. Like, I was like, it's so crazy. Like, you didn't call your mom after. Okay, they touched me here. There, okay, mom. It was like, this happened, and this happened, this happened, and it was like the best thing of my life. And she didn't understand. She was like, why are you telling me that? I was telling like so.
Do I even want to have these details about my daughter?
Yeah, like, I don't want to hear that. I don't know, but it was sacred. It was sacred. So it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Because we see the body as something obscene. And we, especially as women, we see our body as something that is made for another. You know what I mean? It's for another. You dance for another. You move for another person. Many women doesn't even touch themselves. They wait someone to touch and to show their pleasures. You know, so everything is for the other person. So Tantra is like, I deserve to receive. My body is sacred. I can look to my body as a temple. You know, I can look to my yoni. Yoni is like, in Tantra, we call the female sexual organ. We can see our yoni as sacred. So nobody taught us that. So I was like, I can't believe in everything that I'm feeling. So after that, I was like living Tantra and studying a lot and having many experiences. And I ended up doing a TED Talk. And the title was The Female Empowerment Must Pass Through the Vagina.
I actually looked up the TED Talk, but it was in Portuguese, so I couldn't understand.
I have to translate.
You have to give us some English subtitles so we can understand, because my Portuguese is
yes, I'm gonna
non-existent.
Put the subtitles.
Yeah. So
there was a TED Talk, and when I remember, I had an idea to do the course. That it's not the first time here. I have been doing this for many years, but how did I have this idea? I was like going down the stairs from the stage of the TED Talk, and then I was like, if I'm saying that the empowerment, the female empowerment must pass through the vagina, I can't just talk about that, you know? I have to show them, I have to lead them through this way that I have already done, you know? I have already walked this path, so I have to teach that. And I was like, I'm gonna do a workshop, a one-day workshop, and then it became a retreat. A one-day workshop in which I'm gonna lead women through this journey of feeling that their body is sacred and feeling that empowerment must pass through the body. You know?
To feel the strength we actually have on the inside.
On the inside. And it's a huge strength. Everybody says like, oh my God, it looks like I had mushrooms. It looks like I'm in a ayahuasca ceremony. And it's just the power of their bodies. It's so amazing, right? We have all the medicines inside.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't know that.
All the hormones we can produce from different experiences. Like even though just by putting on some nice music, maybe even start to dance and move around a little bit, you can really enforce or put yourself in a state emotionally and mentally, which is on a really high energy level. We all know that. Or you can go into a room with people who are having a good time and you feel welcomed and included and you have fun together. Like all of a sudden you can go from being on this level with your energy to be on this level. Yeah. So it's basically taking the... And I think actually the house is together with us because it's
so much energy, like the doors are slamming.
It's windy, everything is so much energy. It's so cool.
Everything is so alive.
So much energy, and yes, I think like just again to translate a little bit. We can all feel coming into a room if there is low energy and it feels like difficult to be there. You can't even breathe properly, or you come into a room and there's really good energy and good vibes, and you increasingly put up your energy, right? So we have those kind of words already for it, but you take this to a new level,
to another level.
Which most people don't have access to because we don't get this knowledge from school system or society. It's often really taboo to even talk about it. And
so it's very like, I dare to do that, you know. It was like to go to a stage and say, I'm here to say that empowerment must pass through the vagina. People were like, you know, like silence in the room.
And I just have to share one thing, because last weekend before you came, or you were actually here. You were actually here.
No, I came here. I don't live here in Piracanga. I'm just visiting. I came to give the retreat.
Yes, so a few days before you came, I had a recorded conversation with Santiago, who lives in this village for now 10 years.
Yes.
And after the conversation we had, he showed me around and explained a bit about how the village is run with the toilets and everything. And he showed me the board where they put up the calendar for the week, what's going on, and I was filming and he was explaining. And on the board it says, course, I love my pussy.
Oh my gosh, I love everything.
And I was like, my first thought was, I think we have to edit out. Because what would people think if they see that I'm at a place where they have such courses?
Yeah.
So even though I see myself as quite open-minded and curious, I really understand that I also have these taboos in my head. I come from a society where we are restricting ourselves so much. And I think in regards to my purpose of bringing out more human potential, I think it's important to be open and curious to those areas we normally don't look into when we do work with people and people development or even self-development. So
yes. And so I love my pussy was the name of the car. I was like going down the stairs from the stage, and I was like, as I, someone.
So you like to give some emotional shock to people when you use names or framing.
I like to shock. Yeah. That's because I had my mom's permission.
And that's the rebel.
I'm sure. My upbringing had this freedom, so I like to shock, because I think when you shock people, they are surprised and they can't. How can I say? I think they don't think a lot, when you bring something that you saw in, oh, it's not forbidden. Oh, it's on the board. Oh, I have to add it. It changes your mind. I think it's like this beautiful mess in your mind. It's important sometimes because you lose control, like for a like a few moments. You lose control in this. When you lose control, something happens, something opens.
And then for me,
make you think.
And for me, I work a lot with mindset and being more conscious and aware about how you think and feel and react in many situations. For me, that was a great opportunity to actually stop and recognize myself. Like, why did I have that reaction or those kind of thoughts? And why are we in our society become so restricted? And having all these taboos around this topic. And I think we have to go there, because you also mentioned before in this conversation that we have a society where we are learn that our body is if for others or if it's for not about ourselves but others. We have learned different things through the society.
It's
performance.
All about performance.
Yeah. But I think to pay respect to the work you're doing and the workshop here, I know it's difficult to really explain what the ladies have been through in those 2 days you have been with them. But if you can, with some words, explain a bit, what's this workshop about?
Yes. So this workshop is about bringing back your power to you. Because I think we live in a society that takes this power away. Because the power of our body, we have to hide, we have to make it less so we don't bother, We have to look beautiful, and we have to usually, you don't want to bother, If you think sexually, why so many people fake orgasms? Because they don't want to bother, Why so many people are in a business meeting and they can't talk with what they want, or they think it's okay to be interrupted constantly, Why? Because they don't want to bother. Why sometimes we don't get the payment that we deserve? Because we are afraid of losing something if we impose ourselves. When we are always afraid of losing something if we live our truth, our essence. So, and people through the patriarchal society, like many centuries of patriarchy, we disconnected from our bodies. So I think we are disconnected from our bodies. So I see Tantra as a tool to connect. First of all, let's connect to our bodies again, and to see that this power that we can, the Kundalini energy that you can recognize when you are in Tantra, and through Tantra meditations, you can raise this energy. With Kundalini, you can fight your traumas, something that sometimes you are like in therapy for 10 years and you couldn't change. Like if you have, for example, an trauma of abuse. Many women has trauma of abuse. So if you have a trauma of abuse, for example, maybe you are like 10 years in therapy and you couldn't change. And then you go to Tantra and you can change. Why you change that? Because you go to the body, and this wound, it is on the body. It's not on the mind. You can't solve the wound in the mind, all the memories and everything. But if you go to the body, you can really, really, really change it forever, because the wound is in the body. So you have to heal the body.
The body remember. It's not only the mind. It's everything.
It's like tattooed on the body. So you have to let's take it out, and you have to use a lot of energy on the meditations. So how is the course? On the beginning, I bring many cathartic meditations, which is something that uses like the breathing, some kind of breath work connected with movement, but also I bring the visualizations, and I try to reprogram them. And so it's very important, I think, the words. Always the words. Like, I still love the words. Like, I discovered the power of the body, but as a writer, philosopher, I still love the words, and I know the power of the words. So I use it a lot. Like, the things I say while they are very vulnerable, and they are crying, and they are remembering maybe some trauma, it's very important. They are very important, the words that I use. So I think it's breathing and some movements and meditations that really, really, really make them go deep. I think you have to go down before you can go up. I think you have to go to first let's go to how to bring back our power, and then we go.
You have to see and experience the pain. You have to go there to release it, I guess.
To release. And, there's a lot of screaming, and everybody say, yesterday we are on the circular dance, so beautiful, and people came to talk to me, I knew you were here because I listened to the many women screaming. So usually on my workshops, people scream a lot, and they cry a lot. So also I have a meditation that I connect them to the goddess Kali. So you don't have like to really connect to Kali as a goddess, the Hindu goddess Kali. You don't have really to connect as a goddess. Maybe you can connect as a force of nature that you are using to help you on this kind of, it's like a fight, I make them imagine like an imaginary sword to connect with goddess Kali, because she has some swords. And then I ask them to visualize some things, and then they cut it. So it's very physical, and it's very cathartic. All the meditations on the beginning. So after, I bring some subtle meditations. I make them remember, and probably they have forgotten because we live in a society that doesn't, that is not very subtle. I think everything in our society is very dense, and we are always trying to not feel things. We're trying not to feel, not to suffer. We avoid the suffering. So we take some medicine, or we smoke, or use some drug. We want to avoid everything, and we end up avoiding the good things also. So you suddenly, if someone touches you like in a very subtle way, you don't feel because you are very dense. So you have to, you only feel if I do that. So, but after the cathartic moments, they're very subtle.
Yeah.
So, you know, they start to feel.
Yeah. You know, the society is like you go to school, get your education, and as soon as possible go out there and have a job and go into the career, some kind of work, whatever, work hard, do good, find a partner, have your family and have your kids, and it's all like do,
Yes.
push.
Yes.
And for many also much stress, and as you say, we don't have maybe the tools, we don't even find the time to go into how do you actually feel. And then many people end up depressed or burned out or some kind of unpleasant situation, basically. Yeah. But the challenge is, for me, I think, and I think for many, is the skepticism to these kind of work. Because we are brought into a world learning that medicine, like antidepressant, or like, if you are depressed, you have to take medicines for that, or you go to hospital and get some treatment for that, rather than finding natural ways without those supplements, which might be not so helpful in the long run. And I would say maybe also many, I think at least for me, if I were ever to participate in such a workshop, I would be quite scared, I think. Because do I even dare to bring all that stuff, like both for me, but what about if others see them crying or screaming or whatever? So how is your experience with the people coming to you? It might be those who already have gone into some self-development work for some time, or do you also have people coming who are just new to self-development and just dive directly into this kind of thing?
That's so interesting, because many people think like you and say no, they must be people who are in another level of, they're not afraid, they're so free. And no, I have like many different people. I have people who work in the
corporate world. So the business women.
I have business women. I have doctors. I have, of course, people who are very connected to spirituality, and I have people who are in this path for a long time. I have tantric people who have been through other methods different than mine and want to try mine. So it's many people. I have people like 20 years old. And I have like 60 years old women there. So it's so diverse.
Yeah.
And it impresses me too. Because in the beginning I was like, no, I think only very brave people in that
very open-minded.
Very open-minded people will come. And no, so we can't underestimate people. They're so, when, I don't know, I think when they are safe, they open. And I try to bring this safe space. I think that's the most special thing about the way I lead the workshop. And everybody says that I bring a safe space.
Yeah.
I show them that I'm there for them, and that they can trust.
Yeah.
And I try to bring this courage, this braveness. I try to bring in them this feeling of, no, I can. I'm gonna change the narrative now. I can change the narrative now. I was impressed on the beginning also that, and so many people comes to my courses. Like now I'm trying to do less of the presential courses because I'm kind of tired and I don't want to burn out. Like if I teach Tantra and I teach everybody to slow down, so I can't be like, I have to be an example of that. So I'm trying to slow down now. But until last year, I had one per month, and it was like always full of women, like very different women fighting to have this power back. And important to say, when I say power, many people must think like the patriarchal power, which is the male power.
Yeah, the masculine.
The masculine power. And I'm talking about a different power. I always say we have to fight the patriarchy with matriarchy arms. weapons, you know, like we have to bring our vulnerability, and it's very tantric, our capacity of being present, and that's very, very feminine, and we have to use our generosity, our openness, receptivity, you know, everything is so feminine, and we have to use that. It's so beautiful to see a group of women. But to complete how is the course, it becomes more intense after that, because I think people understand the power of the body, and then they understand they deserve the subtlety, and then they understand they open their bodies energetically, spiritually, and they start to trust their power, the power of the body. And then I do a very special tantric ritual. Oh, and I forgot to say about mantras. We chant lots of mantras, and it's very beautiful. So I bring this bhakti, this bhakti side of tantra, and it's very, very spiritual. We sing a lot. On the beginning, on the middle, on the end, like on the end of the morning, end of the afternoon. We celebrate a lot in a very
beautiful.
devotional way. But then after, I do a ritual in which we make like a puja in the Hindu, using a Hindu word, we do a puja, which is like a reverence, you know, to a woman's body on the middle. And then we put flowers on the body, and I do some tantric touches so I can raise her kundalini, and it's a very intense moment in which everybody cries.
Wow.
Usually I cry, even if I do that like for many years, usually I cry, and everybody remembers like when was the last time that I felt this kind of respect and reverence. And usually they don't remember because, you know, it's so hard to be a woman in our society. You have to change this narrative, and I do my part
to help on that.
to help.
Yeah. And for me, I think I always try to say, I don't think it's about men or women to be in power or in charge. It's not about only female empowerment. I think we need a balance, because we have so many qualities in both the masculinity and the femininity. It's not about like genders necessarily either. I think a lot of men these days are really struggling as well. Like, who am I as a man in a modern couple where the women, like in Norway, we often have really strong and powerful women because they have a high education, they might have a high position, they might even have a higher salary sometimes than their husband. So I think many men also can feel like we are going through a change where they don't really know how to be a man anymore.
Yes.
So I think, and that's not good either, because we need the masculinity and the femininity in a balance.
For sure.
And also men in the sexual life, intimacy, I think they also have issues and problems. So if we only empower women,
Yes.
we will lose out on all the good stuff.
For sure.
So we have to have the balance. I know your work is aimed for women, but you might...
No, but it's for men to like.
Okay.
I'm talking about this course. It's I Love My Pussy, and it's for women. But usually my retreats, that's one course. But usually the retreats, the longer retreats that I do, is for men and women. Yes, and it's so beautiful. It's a mix, men and women, and all humans are invited. So I like to empower men too, and it's so beautiful to see like men crying. You know, they crying like children. You know, and you see that like so many times these men must have heard, you can't cry, you can feel, and he's there crying, being vulnerable, and then the women looking at the man being vulnerable. That's such a healing, you know. You start to see the pain in the masculine too, because in our society, I think everybody suffers.
Yeah.
You know, like we suffer, and men suffer, and I think patriarchy is not good. Like It's good for anyone. Nobody gains.
No, it's not either or. It's not matriarchy or patriarchy. It's both. We need to find a balance. Hopefully we can manage to do that. So, so for many would be maybe thinking, oh, do I really want to go to a workshop and go through all this crying and screaming and all these strange things? I might even lose control, whatever. But there might be some benefit on the other side. And what's the value you create for people who come to your workshops and do this kind of experience?
I think first, when they come on the first meditation, they forget the fears. And the anxiety, for sure. I was very rational, so I know how it is to be rational. You know, it's not like, oh, I was always tantric and no, I'm so free. No, I wasn't free. I was rational, you know, so I know how it is to be there. So I know what to say to the rational people to lose control. I know. So I think
in a safe way.
In a safe way.
Yeah. So what's the value, like going through such 2-day program or a workshop that you have? Or
sometimes I have a workshop.
What's the value? Yeah. Why should someone do it?
I think it changes your life completely, and I know that because of everything that I see. That I've seen and that I've heard about my students on these years, and I think the first thing, you lose the fear of love, you lose the fear of feeling, you know, you lose the fear of feeling, you become a better father, mother, partner, son, daughter. You become a better person. You start to see the vulnerability as a strength instead of as a weakness. So it's, for me, that changes everything, you know, and you connect with the power of your body in a way that you, of course, you're gonna change the way you have sex, you make love. It's gonna change the way you look to your body. Like usually, I think we live in a society that make us hate our bodies, you know. So we look in the mirror, and what do you see? Usually things that you think it's a defect. You know how to say something you don't like. Usually you look in the mirror and you say you only see things that you don't like, and we forget that the body, it's like a storyteller, you know. Like it shows. Like for example, I have those small eyes because of my mother. I have the freckles because of my mother. That's so beautiful. She's here with me, you know. Yeah. Why wouldn't I love my freckles, you know? Maybe sometimes you have a nose in a certain way, or your hips, or your thighs because of your father. Oh, it looks like my grandmother. It's so beautiful. It's telling, the body is telling a story about your lineage. Why don't you see that? And you see like, oh, I hate my freckles. Oh, I wish I didn't have these, or I didn't have that. You know, you learn how to hate your body, and then I think on my course I made them love. I make them love their bodies, and I think that's a huge power.
Yeah, and some might even think, because you might look like the ideal of our society. You are slim, you are fit, you are pretty. So many might think, oh, so it's easy for you to say to love your body, but maybe my lineage didn't give me a slim and fit body and a pretty face in the standard of the society. So, but I still guess, and also from talking with your friends here who has been part of the workshop, and how they all say it's really beautiful, and how you manage to embrace your body and see it in a better, different perspective. So regardless, like whatever you have, and everyone is beautiful. It's just like maybe disconnecting from the society standard of what is good looking. So is that part of it as well?
And I think like when you see other women naked, everything changes, because we see there are many. It's so hard. Like I'm trying to say some things that I teach there, like some meditations, but it's impossible to really. You have to live it. It's impossible to put in words. And I think putting in words like the meditations, because I was going to to tell about another meditation, but it's so hard to tell about the meditation because I think it's
you have to experience it.
yeah, I have the experience. So hard. But talking about the bodies, I think it's so beautiful when we see like all the women naked, and you look at and they look to the other bodies and their bodies, and everybody was like, how beautiful everybody are. You know, it's so beautiful, the scars and the signs and everybody and things, you know, the body shows. Do you have a daughter or son? Your body shows. How long have you lived in this earth? Your body shows. So that's what I say, you know, your lineage is there. And I think if you look to many naked bodies, different naked bodies, first, you see that everybody is different.
Yeah.
You know, of course, if you look at Instagram or a magazine, you're gonna see like all the bodies alike, because they have Photoshop and have only
they can edit.
Yeah, they can edit. But if you look in real life and you see like many women naked, and I see this almost every month, it changed my life. You see like everybody's so beautiful as they are.
Yeah.
And the way a body can be, you can, like the fire of the body has nothing to do with the way the form, has nothing to do with the form. And when you are into Tantra, you discover that the way this body, you can lift a body, you know.
And some of the most beautiful people for real are people who might not have the ideal figure based on a society norm, because I really believe there is something to the saying that the beauty comes from within. Because if you have the self-esteem, if you feel empowered, if you like yourself, if you love yourself, and you are present with people and feel confident in being you, that's tremendously beautiful in itself, regardless of if you have the perfect figure. So I think maybe that's one of the core essence of the value you bring to the people who participate in, actually to build up that inner belief, the empowerment, the feeling of self-worth, self-respect, which is really the key to bring out that kind of inner beauty. And we all can have that.
Sure. And it's a revolution, I think. The revolution starts with you looking in the mirror and saying, I love my body. I don't mind like, I'm the ideal in this society or not, but I love my body. I love my body. That's my tool to my empowerment. That's my tool to my transcendence. That's my tool to connect with God, with the divine. That's what I have, you know, my body, my senses, and it's beautiful as it is. The universe, I think, put us here to live our essence, and our essence is in our form also, you know, so you have to love our forms, you know, not only the essence that we have to connect, of course, but you have to love your body. That's a revolution. It starts with you looking in the mirror.
And maybe it might be a long stretch for many to say, I love my body, because it feels not right, because they actually do not love their body. And then sometimes making the small steps, saying, I like my arms, or I think actually my cheeks are really nice, or I like my hair. Or you can start with, or I would like to love my body. So you can put the intention into it also, and practice saying nice things to yourself throughout the day, because then you will eventually get to a point where you can say, I love my body, and feel like you believe in it as well.
And the next step is to bring to the body, you know. First you say words, first you try to make up your mind to be capable of loving it in a rational way, and that's where Tantra goes. After that's the next step, you know. Now let's take it to the body. Let's like fight the traumas. Let's fight everything that's avoiding your expansion, and then you're gonna really, really, really love your body. You're gonna feel the love of the body. It's different from only thinking. So I think Tantra is really this next step.
And this conversation is a bit different from other conversations I have in MadeToGrow format. But because I so much believe in that we have so much untapped potential in us individually and as human beings in general. And looking into different ways how we can create more life quality, career quality, bring out more of the best in ourselves and also in others. For me, going on this journey and meeting people like you and many others who do this work and to do work in different ways to increase life and career quality and bring out the human potential. So for me, being also open-minded, I really have to consider signing up for one of the courses.
Yes. Oh, okay, tomorrow I go.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun to and also like the fear of being judged, because yeah, coming from a rational society, I also have my higher education, but still I really believe in if we are able, if it should be possible to bring out more of the potential in ourselves, we have to look for other ways and merge it with the rational world, because it's not either or. We need the rational, but we need the emotional, the spiritual, and I think the biggest part of the potential, the untapped potential, lies within the emotional and spiritual elements. So it's a stretch. Yeah.
It's an integral approach, so important.
Yeah. So I don't know what your purpose in life is, if you have it written or something, but mine is to develop human potential. I'm certain that you actually do the same, but in a different way. And I think the work you're doing seems to be really, really great and beautiful. And I heard rumors in the village that, oh, she's quite famous around in Brazil for her work, and maybe even outside, I don't know. So you have your Instagram page, you might have other pages we can lead people to, so they can learn more about you and your work, and even find where is the next workshop. I know you're doing something also in Europe next year.
Yes, yes. The Instagram is Carol Teixeira _ And in Europe next year, I'm gonna be in Portugal on June to do the I Love My Pussy, this course, but the immersion, only 1 day. It's like very intense. And in June also, or maybe July, I'm gonna be in Barcelona and doing a retreat, probably a men and women retreat, and many other places in Europe in July, but I don't have it set already.
Yes, so we can find that
on the Instagram. Yeah, on Instagram I'm gonna put everything. And I think that I have a YouTube channel also, but in English. But I think it's more the Instagram. I have some things in English.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, so nice.
So it's been really nice to learn more about your journey. And I don't know. I know quite many people have been through your workshops. How many already have you brought this work?
No, thousands and thousands. It's been like many years.
Yeah.
Many years. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I'm so happy to do that. That's my dharma. That's my purpose in life, and I will never get used to that. It's always something that moves me, changes me too. Not only the people who goes to my retreats.
Yeah. So regardless of if Carol's workshops and work is for you or not, I always encourage people to go on a journey on some self-development, ask those important questions. Who am I? How do I want to develop? Who do I want to be for other people? Maybe even what do I want to leave behind? Your legacy, some kind of purpose in life. And I think when you start to ask those questions, you will dive into a really interesting process, and it's difficult to stop when you first start it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the human being right now, because we are in a time, in a society where we have so many challenges. So thank you so much for the beautiful work you are doing and for sharing with me and our audience.
Thank you so much. I loved.
And thank you for watching. Thank you.